How's it going, guys? There's something that I wanted to take a few minutes to talk with you all about today, and that is things that you need to teach your kids to keep them safe. I know that this is something that we don't necessarily talk about as much as I really think that we should. But I was recently reading an article about the number of kids that disappear in this country each year. And one article that I read, it was over 400,000. And that is a real tragedy. I know that there are constantly things in the news where children are harmed or injured for one reason or another due to someone's irresponsibility. I wanted to take a few minutes today just to talk about a few things that I did that I think are very important that more parents should do. And I would also like to basically start a conversation to know if there are some other things that you did with your kids. You know, any kind of ideas that you have, I'd like to hear those down in the comments below. One of the first things that we have to recognize is that we're the parents, okay? We're not trying to be our kid's best friend. We are trying to do the best job of parenting we can. And we all know, if you're a parent, you know the struggles that is. You know, everybody's got their own opinions on things. Everybody's going to try to tell you how you need to do certain things on parenting, as you know already. But their safety is one of your highest priorities. And you cannot be with them at all hours of the day, especially those of us who work. But you can teach them steps that they can take to help keep themselves safe. One of the things that I did when my kids were small, and I still regularly refresh their memories of that, just as soon as they were able to talk, I started having them to repeat my phone number, my cell phone number, my wife's cell phone number, my parents' cell phone number, just so if something were to happen, they would at least know someone's phone number, that they, you know, if they were fortunate enough to get a good person that was to help them, they could say, well, this is my dad's phone number, this is my mom's phone number, to where they could then call. I did that when my kids were very young. I still will question them periodically what they're doing today. What if they still remember. I'll have them recite it to me, that sort of thing. I also think that it is a good idea to teach kids how to recognize danger, how to recognize some of the signs of danger. To try to get them in the mindset of that there are bad people out there. You as a parent, you have a responsibility to know who your kids are around. Are they around friends that they shouldn't necessarily have? We regularly hear about kids that get in trouble because of the actions of someone that they were with. And that's a real tragedy, but it does happen. It's our responsibility, again, as parents, to know who our kids are with, to know who they're around. And I know some people think that, well, you got to have them they got to have a little freedom, they got to have privacy and that sort of thing. To a certain extent, yes, but at the same time, as a parent, their privacy is limited to what I decide to give them. If they're doing something that I think is risky, I'm going to be all in their business. And as a parent, you need to be doing that also. That's just something that we have to do. We have to keep them safe. Technology that's out there these days, there's a lot of just idiots out there, a lot of freaks that do things to try to get to kids, a lot of online gaming, these chat rooms and things like that. I don't let my kids in them, just for the simple fact that it's dangerous. There's a bad element in there. And I will periodically look to see what's on their phone. I will look to see what is on their computer, kind of videos they watch, types of websites they visit. Some people will probably disagree with me and think that I'm too evasive. I don't care. It's my responsibility to make sure they're safe, and my kids are aware of that. They understand that that's the reason that I do these things. And for the most part, they're good kids. I teach my kids what to do with firearms. Firearm safety for me is very important. I've had my kids out shooting when they were younger, started with BB guns. I've talked about that before in another video. Started out with 22s after the BB gun and just gone up from there. And they pretty much enjoy shooting. It is a skill that even if they don't get into firearms later, which I think they're going to, it's a skill they at least understand the risks involved with firearms. And that's one way to help keep them safe. We have a great responsibility in this day and age. I mean, this isn't Mayberry anymore. If any of you guys watch Andy Griffith, you know that Andy would let Opie just run all over town. Yeah, it's a TV show and all that kind of thing. Times were different years ago than what they are now. And it's up to us to adapt and to teach our kids how to be safe in those times. Another thing that's important to teach your kids also, and not just for kids, but for everyone, if there's ever a situation to where someone is trying to kidnap you, the worst thing that you could do is to allow them to take you to a secondary crime location, okay? You're better off being harmed in public where you have a little bit of an advantage than what you are if you allow them to take you somewhere else, all right? If you are kidnapped, and again, this is something you should teach your kids, something I teach my kids, something that everyone should be aware of. If someone tries to kidnap you, you're better off being injured and fighting them and doing everything you can right there out in public than you are allowing them to take you to a secondary location. Okay? Someone out in public, something happens, at least others are around, hopefully, to where you might be able to get a little bit of help. If they take you somewhere else, the game is in their court. That's where you're going to be at a great disadvantage, because they're going to take you somewhere that is to their advantage, to where they have the time to do the things that they want to do. It's a sad reality about the world that we live in today, but those things do happen. We all remember some of the stories about kids that had been kidnapped, and even some a decade later, or a decade or two later, that finally were able to get away from whoever it was that kidnapped them. Young women especially. Those are tragedies. Those are bad things, but unfortunately it's the world that we live in. And the best thing that we can do is, while our kids are young, do everything we can to teach them how to not become a victim. People at all ages should learn how to not become a victim, but especially kids. Teach them young. But guys, these are just a couple of things that I do. It does not in any way cover a big long list of things that I do with my kids. I teach my kids, they're well too young to drive, but at the same time I teach them what to do if they're ever in a vehicle. Then they need to know where the brake pedal is. Something simple. Growing up out in the country, rural area, ATVs are very common. Teach them how to drive one. There again, a lot of these ATVs, some of them are very similar to a car. Teaching a kid how to drive something like that, if they're ever in a situation, there again, on the side of the road, they might be able to help you just by, keeping a vehicle from rolling. And while you're trying to change a tire, just a lot of things like that they could do. But the main point of this video, I guess I'm just getting off in just a little bit of a ramble, is that we need to teach our kids a lot of the necessary steps to keep themselves safe and just general life skills. Okay? But guys, just a rant video, just a couple things that I do to help try to keep my kids safe. What are some of the things that you do to teach your kids how to stay safe? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Check out the links down in the description, and we'll see you next time.